is said that a Moot is a forecourt that trains one for the real life cut and thrust of the court. A very warm good morning to all the respected dignitaries, participating teams, and one and all present here. I, be Priya Lahiri, Assistant Professor, DME Law School, along with Emmanuel Benny, student member of the DME Moot Court Society, heartily welcome you all to the CCI-DME National Moot Court Competition 2023, being organized by the DME Law School in collaboration with the Competition Commission of India. The knowledge partners are SCC Online and Sarvada Legal. This is a flagship event of the DME Law School, and the next 2 days intend to showcase and witness an intense exchange of arguments among the budding lawyers who are participating in this competition from all across the country. Today, we have with us a legal luminary and stalwart, Honorable Ms. Justice Indra Banerjee, former Judge, Supreme Court of India, as the chief guest to this inaugural ceremony. We welcome you, ma'am, and express our gratitude to you for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us here today. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to our Director General and former Judge, Allahabad High Court, Honorable Mr. Justice Bhagat Singh, sir, to this event. Thank you, sir, for your presence and your blessings to us. I further welcome Director DME, Professor Dr. Ravikant Swamy, and Additional Director DME, Professor Dr. Rashmi Khurana Nagpal, and all the other heads and deans of Media and Management School present here. Lastly, I welcome all the participants and the esteemed audience. I'm sure that these 2 days of the courtroom proceedings would be an enriching and insightful experience for all the participants present here. I now invite Emmanuel to take the event forward.
To begin with the ceremony, we know that light symbolizes knowledge and prosperity. It not only dispels darkness, but illuminates our souls. To make this day a pleasant one, let's invoke Goddess Saraswati's blessings by lighting the lamp of knowledge and wisdom. I invite Asawari Group of DME Enigma Music Society for performing a devotional performance. I request all the dignitaries to kindly light the lamp.
Ma Saraswati Sharade Jaya Gan Teri Gaun. Ma Saraswati Sharade Jaya Gan Teri Gaun. Swari Sari Suri Bana De Swari Sari Suri Bana De Swari Sari Suri Bana De Dhyan Tera Lagaun. Dhyan Tera Lagaun. Ma Saraswati Sharade Jaya Gan Teri Gaun. Ma Saraswati Sharade Jaya Gan Teri Gaun.
A true welcome is never complete without warm words and warmer gestures. It is our honor to have our guests here with us. I kindly request our Director General, Honorable Mr. Justice Bhagat Singh, sir, to welcome our Chief Guest, Honorable Ms. Justice Indra Banerjee, ma'am, with a flutter. Thank you, sir. I would now like to specially mention the several months of dedicated effort that has led to the culmination of this event by DME Moot Court Society. This event is being participated by over 100 participants coming from all over India to get a first-hand experience on the matters related to competition law. It is the field of law which seeks to maintain market competition by regulating anti-competitive conduct by businesses. We would like to share a brief video montage of the law school and the symposium with our participants today. I request the IT team to kindly play the video montage for us. May I now request Professor Dr. Ravikant Swami, sir, Director of DME, to welcome and address the audience with his words of encouragement.
I take this opportunity to welcome Justice Indra Banerjee from the Supreme Court of India. Ma'am has been an outstanding judge, and all of us are aware about the decisions taken by ma'am. Before the Supreme Court, ma'am was the Chief Justice of the Madras High Court as well. Ma'am, I was just reading your Wikipedia profile, and I found that in the Madras High Court there has been 2 lady judges. Before you, Madam Kanta Bhatnagar was there. Incidentally, she happened to be our neighbor at Jodhpur. Yeah, Justice Kanta Bhatnagar. I take this opportunity to welcome our Director General, Sir, Justice Bhavar Singh, sir, whose contribution will be remembered by centuries to come. My dear students, my dear audience, sir was part of the 3-member bench at the Allahabad High Court, which was hearing the Ram Mandir petition. And it was this bench which ordered the magnetic survey, which later on became the fulcrum of the decision of the Supreme Court of India. I welcome the Dean of our Law School and the Additional Director, Ma'am Rashmi Khurana Nagpal. I came to know that today there is a dearth of seats in this hall because the students are running for their attendance. Yes. So all those whose attendance is little less, probably they are standing, or means we don't have seats in this hall with a 200 capacity because the internals are about to come. So that's the proof of ma'am's work. That's the proof of ma'am's efficiency. Ma'am, keep it up. Attendance is the core of any institution. I welcome all the teams which are here. I believe it's a pan-India collection because we have teams from all parts of India. Well, while I talk about competitions, students, there are 2 kinds of learning. One is vertical, another is horizontal. So vertical is what you learn while your teachers teach you, while horizontal is what you learn from each other. So winning or not winning is not the point. The point is horizontal learning. I am sure this Moot is going to be a great horizontal learning experience. I remember the day when we received an email from the Competition Commission of India, and that day this Moot went to another level. The orbit of the Moot changed, and we visited the Competition Commission of India. And I remember our dean was putting forth arguments that why Competition Commission of India should sponsor this event. So I also take this opportunity to welcome the representatives of CCI who are here, and it has been sponsored by the Competition Commission of India. They had a very small condition which we heartily accepted, and the condition was that the theme of the Moot should not be from the criminal side. Incidentally, Justice Ma'am was also telling that criminal subject was not her cup of tea. So ma'am, probably that's a great sync. So we heartily accepted that condition, and therefore the theme of this Moot was not from the criminal side, which more often than not happens. I welcome all the participants, and I'm sure it's going to be a great horizontal learning experience.
Thank you, sir. No institution can run without the presence of a great leader, and we are privileged to have our Director General, Honorable Mr. Justice Bhagat Singh sir with us. To acquaint our audience with his lordship, Honorable Mr. Justice Bhagat Singh sir was appointed in the UP Judicial Services in April 1970 and promoted to the Higher Judicial Services in 79. His Lordship presided over a special court of CBI Dehradun from 1983 to 87. Sir was then elevated to the Registrar at Allahabad High Court in 1992, and he graced the office of Registrar General of Supreme Court of India from 1998 to 1999. He was then elevated as the permanent judge of the Allahabad High Court in 1999 until he laid his office in 2007. His Lordship was then appointed as the President of the UP State Consumer Commission Thereafter, Sir adorned the august office of the Chairman of Judicial Training and Research Institute UP from 2012 to 14. Then Sir joined the Delhi Metropolitan Education as the Professor and Director General in 2014. I request His Lordship to address the gathering and give us his blessings. Please, sir.
Honorable Ms. Justice Banerjee, Indra Banerjee, the Chief Guest of the event, Director Dr. Ravikant Swami, Additional Director and Dean Faculty of Law, Dr. Rashmi Nagpal, Dr. Randhawa, Head of the Law Department, Dr. Amrish Saxena, Dean of the Media Department, Dr. Purva Ranjan, Dean of the Management Department, other faculty members, and dear participants, ladies and gentlemen. On my own and on behalf of the administration of DME, as also the entire law faculty, I express my heartfelt gratitude to Honorable the Chief Guest of this event, Ms. Indra Banerjee, to have accepted our invitation and gracing this occasion by her august presence. I welcome ma'am and all the participants who have come to join this international moot court competition. Mooting is very important part in the legal education. Educationalists lay heavy stress on literacy, but not much importance is attached to being articulate. Footballers practice passing and shooting of football. Cricketers join practice camps to master the art of batting and bowling. Likewise, law students are, during their course of studies, required to articulate the skill of submitting arguments in highly methodical manner. Internship is meant to learn that skill, but my experience shows that very few lawyers take their interns to the courts for participating in the final stages of the cases, particularly when arguments are submitted. Justice M.C. Chagla, who was Chief Justice of Bombay High Court for long 11 years, has shared his experiences of the initial days of his career as an advocate. He had no briefs then. He used to go to the courts where important matters were listed for arguments, would sit there and hear the submissions of stalwarts of those days. And it was how that he learned the art of fluency, relevancy, and also the etiquettes, manners, and humility. All these qualities of an advocate go a long way to impress the judges. You have to keep catching hold of the concentration of the judge. If your arguments are not to the point, the judges start searching for themselves into the files. Half-hearted documents of a lawyer diverts the mind of the judges on the bench. That is why great advocates advise keep looking into the eyes of the judges and at the same time watch his or her reactions so as to judge whether your arguments are being appreciated or not. Judges' understanding is extremely significant. Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer, a judge of the Supreme Court of India, has written in his memoirs that it was never a pleasure to argue before a dull judge. When I was going through some of the judgments of Honorable Ms. Indira Banerjee, I noticed in a criminal case, although ma'am during taking a cup of tea in the boardroom said that criminal law was not her cup of tea, but still she has given a wonderful judgment, and I am sure how it was wonderful. I noticed in a criminal side verdict the philosophy of Justice Iyer in the punishment for a heinous murder. Justice Krishna Iyer wanted that sentence of death should be abolished. But the terrorism being all through surviving in our country, the legal luminaries and the government have not yet favored that idea. Justice Iyer propounded the theory of rarest of rare cases, insofar as the extreme punishment of death was concerned. Likewise, Madam Banerjee in Datta Ambo Rakede versus State of Maharashtra 2019 converted the sentence of death into life imprisonment. And it was further held by ma'am and her companion judge that life imprisonment means life in jail until natural death. It really spoils the idea. 2-3 days back have been evolved by the Chief Minister of Bihar in releasing Anand Mohan. Datta Ambo brutally killed a 5-year-old girl. The trial court and Bombay High Court concurrently awarded death sentence to the convict Datta Ambo. Madam Indira Banerjee ruled that there can be no doubt that brutal murder of a girl child was absolutely heinous and barbaric. But it could not be said to be a case of the category of rarest of rare cases. Ma'am converted the death sentence into life imprisonment. If viewed deeply, I would lay emphasis upon, if viewed deeply, the long life imprisonment is a greater punishment as compared to death. Why I say so? Because in such a case of life imprisonment, until his natural death, the convict or say the lifer would meet his death every day, repenting and regretting throughout his life for the misdeeds he has committed. Madam Indira Banerjee has contributed a lot to both the civil and criminal side. The civil and criminal philosophies of law, teaching a lesson to the politicians. Madam Banerjee, in an election dispute pertaining to the mayor of Mysore, Rukmani Madegowda versus State Election Commission held that concealment of assets and properties by a candidate in an election would amount to corrupt practice. And on the basis of this ruling, the mayoral election of Mysore, Karnataka has been set aside. Ladies and gentlemen, I would inspire you, the participants in particular, to read the biographies of famous advocates and famous judges, as also the leaders of the world. Read newspapers daily and journals to increase your vocabulary. so as to speak fluently with rich language. And always remember, towards the end, I would suggest to all the participants, always remember that pleasure lies in playing a game, not in the victory. Thank you very much. God bless you.
We are very honored to have Honorable Ms. Justice Indra Banerjee ma'am here as the chief guest today. Ma'am graduated from the Presidency College and received her LLB from the College of Law of Calcutta University. In February 2002, she was appointed as a judge of the Calcutta High Court. She was then the judge of the Delhi High Court in August 2016 before being appointed as the Chief Justice of the Madras High Court in April 2017. Ma'am was then elevated as the Judge of Supreme Court in August 2018 and retired after a 4-year tenure in September 2002. Ma'am was the 8th woman judge to be the Judge of the Supreme Court of India. I request Ma'am to address the gathering and give us her.
Honorable Justice Bhanwar Singh, former Judge Allahabad High Court and Director General DME. Professor Dr. Ravi Kant Swami, Director DME. Dr. Nagpal, Additional Director DME. Dr. Ranthava, Academic Coordinator. Professor Vedapriya Lahiri, the members of the faculty, my dear students, ladies and gentlemen. I consider it a privilege to be here amidst you at this National Moot Court competition being organized by Delhi Metropolitan Education in collaboration with the Competition Commission of India. I am informed that 34 institutions are participating. I wish all the participants the very best before I share a few thoughts with you. The importance of mooting hardly needs emphasis. On this occasion, I cannot but remember and acknowledge the contribution of Professor Madhav Menon, who introduced mooting in this country. In fact, he is often referred to as the father of moot court and father of modern legal education in India. A little while ago, while we were having a cup of tea, sharing a cup of tea and exchanging notes, we were discussing the pathetic condition of legal education in India in the past. Unfortunately, law was a neglected branch of study. Of course, even in the past, there were legal luminaries from law institutions in this country, but they excelled more because of their own efforts than what they really learnt at the law colleges. In fact, law education has been the subject of criticism in reports of law commissions in the 50s, in the 60s. The Setalvad Commission made scathing remarks of about the kind of lawyers which were produced by law colleges. It hurt me immensely because I was part of the legal profession. In fact, I would rather not quote what has been stated, something to the effect that they were drones let loose on society, who hardly knew what was the syllabus in the law colleges where they had studied. I was sharing my own experience. My coming into the law, into the legal profession was in a sense a coincidence. My father was an officer of the, he was a retired Indian police service officer, and members of the family were bureaucrats. So it was obviously expected that I would also appear for the civil services examination and try my luck at the civil services examination. One of our family friends, their son was a topper in the civil services examination and he opted for the Indian Foreign Service. I was asked to take some advice from him. He was a student of the Delhi Law Faculty, which always had a higher standard than elsewhere. Taking his advice, I switched over from the postgraduate course in international relations to law at the Calcutta University College of Law. On the first day, a classmate of mine asked me my name and then asked which college I was from. And I mentioned that I was from Presidency College, Calcutta. The next question, to my utter surprise, was, "Did you not get honors?" I was absolutely taken aback that I should be asked whether I had got honors or not. So I said, yes, I did get honors. The next question was, then you could have done your MA. I said, yes, I was doing my MA. I had taken admission in the MA course. The next question was then, the mindset about legal education was rather different in those days. You know, it was taken for granted that only those who did not get admission anywhere else would take up the study of law. Or else, children of lawyers who were serious about legal practice, because that was the next question which was put to me. The next question was, is your father a lawyer? So I said, no. So then I said, let me try my luck at law. Let me see. This was the condition of law education. I learned the alphabets of law apart from what I prepared for the examinations. After I joined the legal profession, after I joined the chamber of Mr. Samaraditya Pal, author of books on the Constitution of India, Contempt of Court, Public Service, who unfortunately passed away on 9th March this year. I remember the first occasion when I had to mention a matter in court, in the High Court, my throat was drying up. I was feeling nervous, although I had participated in debate competitions at school, seeing so many lawyers looking like penguins in their black robes, crowded courtroom, stern-looking judges on the bench. I could hardly hear my voice. But today, fortunately, things have changed. Law is a much sought after subject. Admissions to law institutions has become highly competitive. And look at the kind of programs which are held. Regular seminars, regular talks, interactions which are held physically and virtually, and then, of course, the moot courts. Having debited office from the Supreme Court of India, I can't help but refer to the Constitution, which is so important to me. What is the vision of the Constitution? It is beautifully summarized in the preamble to the Constitution of India. It's a people-centric constitution. It starts with the words, "We, the people of India, having constituted India into a sovereign democratic republic, to which the words socialist and secular were added by the 42nd Amendment in 1976. What is the promise which is made to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote amongst all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity, to which again integrity has been added, unity and integrity of the nation." These objects find further elaboration in the chapter on the fundamental rights and the chapter on the directive principles of state policy. You know, as Dr. Ambedkar had said, a constitution, a good constitution, may not turn out to be a good constitution if the people who are responsible for operation of the constitution, giving effect to the constitution, are incompetent. And a bad constitution may become a good constitution if those who are responsible for giving effect to the constitution are competent and efficient. When we talk about justice, when we talk about justice delivery, it is not the judiciary alone which is responsible for justice delivery. It is the legislature which enacts the law. The executive, which implements the law, the judiciary, which interprets the law, and of course the society at large also. I say the society at large because the way you treat your other classmates, whether you're violating constitutional norms, how is the girl child treated within the family? So the society at large, when a group of people take law into their own hands by bashing up the driver of a car who commits an accident without even ensuring who is responsible for the accident. This is the society taking law into its own hands, or the society breaching law. So if we want a just society, then every one of us have to be responsible citizens. Not just remember our rights, the fundamental rights and the various other constitutional rights, but remember that the same 42nd Amendment also introduced a chapter on fundamental duties. You have a duty to follow the law. You are obliged to follow the law. You should ensure that others follow the law. Where there is injustice, social injustice, you should protest. Anyway, for a healthy, effective democracy, we are a sovereign democratic republic. You must have a strong, robust, independent judiciary comprising competent judges and competent lawyers. Because when we talk about the judiciary, it is not the judges alone. It is the entire system comprising the judges, the lawyers who make the submissions, the court staff who assist in the process of justice, and also the other stakeholders who come to court. Some references were being made by Justice Bhanwar Singh to my judgments. I must say he was very generous in his praise. I don't know whether I deserve it or not, but I thank him nevertheless. But I can very honestly say that the best judgments have come with good assistance from the lawyers. A judge of the Supreme Court on a miscellaneous day handles 50 to 60 cases. The previous evening or 2 or 3 days earlier, piles and piles of files are sent to the residents. We do read, but it is possible that there may be a slip somewhere. So the lawyer should be fully prepared. And this is what the moot courts help you to do. It is the first footstep, I would say, the first step to legal practice. It trains you to get fully prepared to argue a case. You have to be prepared with the details of facts. You have to read up and look up the law. When you make your arguments, the arguments should be logical, reasoned, plausible reasoned arguments. Your arguments should also be precise. I mentioned a little while ago that on a miscellaneous day, there are 50, 60 cases. I'm still reminded that on one occasion, Lady Hale had come to Calcutta High Court. And at that time, I happened to be the only woman on the bench of Calcutta High Court at that point of time for about 4.5 years. I was the only one. She was introduced to me, and when the Chief Justice showed her my list, she literally slumped on the sofa. And she said, "Oh my God, 600 matters listed on the same day." This is the reason why you have to be short in your submissions. Otherwise you will irritate the judge if you are unnecessarily repetitive. You should have a summary of your best points so that you can explain that to the judge in a very, very short time. And if the judge is missing out something, then you should be well prepared so that you can courteously point it out. It is important to remember that lawyers should protect the dignity and majesty of the court. They should be courteous to the bench. But they are under no obligation to be servile, because they have to put forward their client's case. There is a difference between courtesy and servility. So, if a judge is not listening, you can very courteously and very firmly put forward your arguments, but without being repetitive, without making irrelevant submissions, and without wasting the court's time. Having some consideration for the other lawyers in the court, the other cases on the board, remembering, trying to put yourself in the shoes of the lawyers who are waiting for their cases. Another important thing about these moot courts is that you learn to immediately tackle questions. You learn to tackle arguments made by the other side. And you also learn to tackle questions which are put by the judges who are judging the moot courts. I remember on one occasion, I was one of the judges of a moot court at the Delhi Law Faculty, along with Justice Geeta Mittal. And when the questions were being put, I quietly told Justice Mittal, we should remember our student days also. I think we are losing track of the fact we are asking them the same kind of questions which we would put to experienced, busy lawyers. Mooting also builds up your temperament. You should learn to be calm, composed. If you get upset, you will get confused. You will not be able to tackle the question. You will not be able to give a proper answer to the question. Judges may ask questions which you think may be irrelevant, but there may be something in the judge's mind. So you have to answer that question. Some judges are courteous, other judges are rough. There are judges and judges and judges. You have to appear before them. I remember when I joined the profession, we had a very senior judge. On one occasion when I asked for a passover on the ground of I must have been about a few months into the profession, and I asked for a passover on the ground that my senior was in the main building arguing a case. So I said, he's on his legs. And he just thumped his table and said, then ask him to be on his head now. Arguing in his court. You know, we used to wonder, whether some of the books would fall on us as missiles. But then, he was a very fair judge, a very well-respected judge. So you have to learn to tackle the judges. After all, you are appearing on behalf of a client, and you should give the client your best. It is also important to remember that very few people come to courts of law for the fun of it. They have very high stakes involved. So you have to give your clients the very best and ensure that you do not lose a case of your client because of lack of preparation on your part. Depending on the merits of the case, you may win, you may lose. But at the end of the day, you should have the satisfaction of having given your very best. So I was talking about a strong, robust judiciary so that the vision of the Constitution is given proper effect. And with competent students like you, I haven't the slightest doubt that the quality of the judicial system will undergo a remarkable change in the future. I see amidst you, at least amidst some of you, my successors at the various offices I've held. When Professor Swami was making his address, he referred to Justice Kanta Kumari Bhatnagar, the first woman to occupy the office of Chief Justice. She was Chief Justice for about 6 months or so in the year 1992. I became the second woman to occupy the office of Chief Justice of Madras High Court, 150 years, over 150 years old. Started in 1962. I assumed office on 5th April 2017. I was followed by another woman, Justice Vijaya Tahilramani. But so far there have been only 3. It was mentioned that I was the 8th woman to be appointed Judge of the Supreme Court. In which year? In 2018, on 7th August 2018 to be precise. How many years after the Constitution came into force? 68 years after the Constitution came into force. So in 68 years, only 8 women had been appointed to the bench. Thankfully, 3 more were appointed very soon thereafter. But then after I demitted office, the number has again gone down to 3. On 31st August 2021, Justice Hima Kohli, former Chief Justice of Telangana and former Judge of Delhi High Court, Justice Nagaratna, former Judge of Karnataka High Court, and Justice Bela Trivedi, former Judge of Gujarat High Court, were appointed to the Supreme Court on the same day. But I'm happy to see amongst the participants a lot of girls. So I hope this gender imbalance that we are talking about will be set right with more and more competent women joining the legal profession and also joining the bench. Nowadays, of course, corporate offices pay very well, and a lot of students opt for campus recruitment because the life of a lawyer may be somewhat difficult. It may take time to build up a practice. But whatever you do, wherever you are, you can make use of the knowledge that you get. As is often said, the process of knowledge begins at the law college, but it's a never-ending process. I still learn from students when I interact with them. So this is going to be lifelong. On a lighter note, reference was made to my judgments on criminal law. It is a fact that I did not practice criminal law. And in fact, my CV still reads, practiced all branches of law except criminal law. So I used to sometimes say, please have my CV amended. Otherwise, there may be a lot of correction petitions on that ground that the judgments have been delivered by someone who never had a practice in criminal law. In my entire legal career, I handled one criminal case. That was the case of a bail in a Provident Fund case where I was dealing with all the civil cases of the company, and I had a leader in the criminal case. Now, the importance of competition law hardly needs emphasis. But since the Moot court is based on competition law, I will not elaborate much on competition law in my inaugural address. But suffice it to mention that it is a law which encourages a competition and which tries to prevent the creation of a monopoly. It opposes practices which stifle competition. Now, we were talking about economic justice, social justice, economic justice. To secure economic justice to the people, you have to have a strong economy. To have a strong economy, you have to have trade, commerce, business, industry, and that has to be on a competitive basis and not confined to the hands of a few. I think I've taken much more time that was actually allotted to me. Thank you very much. I once again wish all of you the very best, all the participants. To participate is important. If you win, fine. If you don't win, it is also fine, because your success in a case may also depend on the merits of the case and not the quality of your advocacy. I wish all of you a very bright future in law. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your motivating and inspirational words. We are truly honored that ma'am could join us here today. I invite our Director General, Honorable Mr. Justice Bhavar Singh sir, to present ma'am with the memento.
With this, we move to the end of the ceremony. I would like to invite Professor Dr. Rashmi Khurana Nagpal to conclude the event. Currently the Additional Director of Delhi Metropolitan Education, Noida, and Dean of the School of Law, ma'am has a teaching experience of approximately 15 years at Punjab University, Chandigarh, MT University, Noida, MT University, Lucknow, Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia, National Law University, Lucknow, Nirma University, Ahmedabad, and as a principal at Gita Institute of Law. She is serving as an editor, member of the editorial board for leading law journals. I request ma'am to deliver the vote of thanks.
Nothing is more powerful than the power of words. Specifically, if we get to hear these words from the eminent personalities who have excelled in their own fields. Our chief guest for today, Honorable Ms. Justice Indra Banerjee, former Judge, Supreme Court of India, our very own leader, mentor, and teacher, Honorable Mr. Justice Bhavar Singh, Director General, Delhi Metropolitan Education, our guiding mentor, Professor Swami, Director, Delhi Metropolitan Education, Professor Saxena, Dean, Media School, Professor Sushmita Bala, Dr. Purva Ranjan, Head Management School, my faculty colleagues, the judges who are here to judge the preliminary round out of the busy schedules being a working day, and most importantly are the participating teams for today who travelled from various places across India to be here with us today. We are having this moot court competition after around 4 years of the gap. It was online for the last previous 2 to 3 years. We are glad to have you with us today. And we extend a very warm welcome to ma'am and extremely thankful to her that she accepted our invite and rescheduled her previous engagements upon our request. As ma'am mentioned about her days of Presidency College, while she was addressing, it went my memory lane to 90s when I was studying at Punjab University Law Department, Chandigarh. I was recollecting those days. We never heard of a 5-year law program. It was 3 years, and as ma'am mentioned, the same situation was there, that all those who took admission could not get in any of the department of Punjab University. And two, the others, those who came from the law background, their parents or somebody in the family was into law. So these two were the only things, only students who were enrolled there. And all those who could not get admission were there to engage, be engaged in all kinds of strikes that used to happen in Punjab University at that point of time. So I remembered while ma'am was addressing my moot court, the only one in 3 years, towards the end was 6th semester, that we got to know as to what is moot court. And then we had the privilege to travel to another university in Patiala to participate. And astonishingly and surprisingly, 3 teams, 3 prizes, and all equally bad. So for the problem on restitution of conjugal rights, I remember for that one large trophy and 2 smaller, we literally fought and forgot what is court ethics, which we did not know. And the only aim was to grab the trophy. For that, we forgot that we are here to participate in a competition. That trophy was so important that Mr. Kapil Sibbal's father, Mr. Hiralal Sibbal, one of the prominent lawyers at that point of time in Chandigarh, he happened to be the judge. And at one point of time, he was like this, because he had studied in UK. And he really wondered as to our knowledge on what is moot court. That was interesting now when we recollect. It was very bad at that point of time. You are blessed and privileged that you are enrolled in a 5-year law program to the best of the institutes, where now legal education is far more different than what ma'am and what I have discussed. When I come to art of advocacy, like ma'am told you, to be prepared. So I don't have any experience of litigation, but it is what I learned in all those years, that we don't have to be a half-baked lawyer. We need to go prepared. And I think we've all passed through that phase where we never knew that we'll take up law, but we read Merchant of Venice. William Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice in 16th century, that now we recollect and we learn that this was the actual art of advocacy at that point of time, which related to 3 things, was greed, money, and pursuit of wealth. And at that point of time, if you go back to Merchant of Venice, you will find that flesh, pound of flesh, without the drop of blood, was the argument's game. And this is still now, that we need to learn the facts carefully and find out what a good lawyer can find. And then in the words of Benjamin Franklin, if you would not be forgotten as soon as you are dead or rotten, either write things worth reading or do things worth writing. Our Honorable DG Sir, Director General, talked about Roses in December. Another book that's very close to my heart is Till Memory Fades by Falias Nariman. If you read with the face, first 10 pages, you will find that there is an excellent mention of Sardin Shah Mullah, who wanted to be a poet. And he himself fancied a poet. And then how he became one of the greatest leading jurists who at one point of time wrote 12 times and sent his poems and got the reply that Mr. Mullah, rather than writing poems, please take up law. This is the first few pages that I'm talking about. And if you go further, read the entire book, you will find how the courtrooms functioned, the qualities of a good lawyer, as Falias Nariman has beautifully mentioned in that book. We have positive time. I would have definitely rated a few instances from that book, but since we'll get late for the preliminary rounds, I don't want to really get into that. Now, about the courtroom beauty. Being an academician, I like to read. This is Times of India, which mentioned that it is not only the advocates who are learned and come prepared. The judges that mentioned come prepared too, and mention all those things in the courtroom which the lawyers don't even dream of. So one such instance I read in Times of India. This is about a few months back that I read one of the instances of Allahabad High Court, where Honorable Mr. Justice Ajay Bhanot, while delivering a judgment granting bail to 3 Kashmiri students who allegedly cheered Pakistani's victory in a cricket match, he was trying to explain the beauty of the Constitution of India, that it talks about diversity, and there he invoked poet Muhammad Iqbal and mentioned in the courtroom, that was mentioned in Times of India, where he said in the courtroom, कुछ बात है कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं हमारी, सदियों रहा है दुश्मन, दौरे ज़मां हमारा, सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा. We had to apologize to 10 teams who were willing to come, but next time we have promised them that we'll have a 3-day event where we will not be able to say no to anyone who approaches us. This being an academic endeavor, we wished to accommodate it as many as possible, but then considering just 2 days, we have to apologize to those who could not register in the first shortlisted teams. So we'll have them later somewhere. We have promised them that another 6 months we'll hold another foot vote and we'll invite them there. This being a very, very fair and impartial competition, may the best win. But like me, like us in the year 90s, do not aim for that trophy. That's a mere part of a ceremonial felicitation. Everybody, 2 things in life is bhaglo and bhaglo. One that we run away, one that we participate. So all those bhaglo who are here to participate are winners for us. And may the best team win with great hard work and labor. And I would wish everyone to remember in the end, before you leave us tomorrow, after felicitation ceremony, all of you should remember one thing, सफर की हद, यहाँ तक कि कुछ निशान रहे, चले चलो जहाँ तक ये आसमान रहे, ये क्या, उठाए कदम और आ गई मंजिल, मजा तो तब है जब पैरों में थकान रहे.
Now, I humbly request everyone to please stand up for the national anthem.
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा, तब शुभ नामे जागे, तब शुभ आशा आशीष मांगे